Dude, I always tell people I shop at a place where they assume you can afford the clothes based on your eating habits. It's the nicest way for me to put it. I also tell people at the same place. Oh, are we live?
Hey, we live. So before you say the next word.
Hi, live. Hi, people.
Look at that. Hello, people. We were almost in the middle of conversation. I'm like, I already hit the button.
Yeah.
I don't know what got said.
I'm supposed to hit the button, but we'll work it out.
Well, we were running late. We didn't want any more thumbs down.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. What's up with the thumbs down? Like, what are we doing wrong? Let us know. Meet us in the comments.
How do you get a thumbs down that
Give us your
quick?
IP address, last 4 your social, mother's maiden name.
Damn.
Let's get the intros going.
Intro, Tom Lawrence.
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash.
All right. And how they got hacked? Nine. And tomorrow is what's you doing tomorrow? Anything particular?
I think I'm supposed to hack like 5 boxes in 23 hours or 45 minutes, starting at 5 a.m. So
starting at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and then like after that, I'm supposed to have like another 24 hours to write an exam like report. I have the OSEP exam.
Are you ready for the almighty OSEP?
I am ready for the unknown. I'm super excited about it. Been working on privilege escalation. Been doing a lot of attackdefense.com, free plug. Spent a lot of time in the labs. I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready. I feel like I try the hardest. So if I fail, I know I have to try harder. But I feel like I'm good. I don't know. We'll see.
We've done a lot of studying. I think you
It's
should.
been a lot of 4-hour nights of sleep kind of thing, right? Like you wake up, you get directly on the computer, you start working on stuff, then you go to work on similar things, then you get off to work on more stuff, and basically like 2:30 in the morning you're going to sleep, 6 o'clock in the morning you're waking up.
And doing it again.
There you go. So like I'm ready for that cycle to like diminish a bit, like staying up till like 12 o'clock again versus like, 3 o'clock. So
and we'll do some debrief after the testing, but these tests are no joke. They're not. So the term me and some of my friends have used, my gray-haired IT friends, we call them paper chasers and things like that, because in the early days, in the 90s, everyone ran out and got their certs and stuff like that. It became like a process. You just, got the little Cliff Notes cheat sheet and fill out some paper, regurgitate a little bit of information, and here, look, you're certified. And those guys that come work for us are like, man, they don't know shit. And, we used to call them paper certs, paper MCSEs, and things like that because they didn't really know skills. And that kind of hangs out there. Like some people are like, oh, certs don't mean nothing. The game's a lot different. These are seriously, like what you have to go through to take the test is a whole different level. It isn't just, he read a book and popped a couple answers down on a, A, B, or C. It isn't like that at all.
I would love for it to be multiple choice because I would have had it years ago. But the whole entire ethos behind how you go about getting this particular cert is self-paced, self-learning. You get a PDF, you get some lab videos, and then you get a lab. And that's it, right? And the videos and the PDF kind of mirror one another, and then the lab is CTF style. So you have to go find a box and stumble across the box to learn a certain thing that you're trying to get out of it. And that's where I think attack defense really comes into play and allows you to kind of complement the things that you're learning in the OSCP, because you can go, okay, I learned about privilege escalation, but like, how do I really do privilege escalation? Well, in the OSCP lab, you got to hack a box and then do privilege escalation. And then in that hacking a box, you have to figure out how to hack the box. It's 100% no clues. You got to just learn from the course, I guess. It's the best way for me to say it without giving away too much.
But it's one of those things, too. Even if you went through some of the basics of this and, found some how-tos, it's helpful because it is teaching you how to learn, teaching you how to do it. And then in the end, the test isn't about, like, did you understand the questions and answers? It's about, here, pop this box. Yeah. You got to put your skills, to the test. Can you actually get the privilege escalation? Can you step through it? And this makes it a little different. Like I said, it's not like for those, especially those older IT people, oh, they're just, chasing paper, chasing certs and da-da-da. This is some tough stuff.
And if I was chasing certs, who cares? Whatever. I love challenging myself, figuring out ways to be able to get to the next level. And if that means that I have to, sprinkle a little bit of paper certs in front of HR to get to the next point in life, what's wrong with that?
No.
It's called growth hacking. That's social engineering. That's
yeah.
Right? You would have never even been able to have that dude sit next to you to know that he wasn't good. He at least got 2 weeks worth of pay. And he probably learned something from you in that 2 weeks.
Good 2 weeks worth of pay.
So at the next job, he can go and tout that what he learned, and maybe he gets 4 weeks worth of pay.
Before they figure out they don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. So the first story I want to read, and man, hats off to the Register. I love their titles.
Yeah.
A2 finds restore the hardest word as Windows outage slips into May. Dumpster, burning bright, data backups, not all right. So, and I full disclosure, I use A2 hosting. In case anyone wants to point that out later or, do a dig on any of the IPs and stuff like that, we do. But I want to talk about mitigation then. And I'll also mention A2 kind of wants to talk about mitigation too. They took it down, but you can way back when machine find it. I can throw it, and I'll throw it in the show notes. They posted the day they got breached, but before they knew. The day it actually happened, but the day before they reported it, they had posted like data breach mitigation as a blog post, which the humor is not lost on me that they did that. Perfect timing. But this was pretty bad, and I love the Register because they go and cover the tweets and really dig into it, which great because from this Register article you can go find the people, and they ranted more about their A2 experience. But I completely think A2 was doing something horribly wrong here because these are VPS servers that should have been solid. And ideally, a virtual private server that you have in A2. These are only the Windows. I say I use A2 as a company, but this is only their Windows hosting, and
right.
I don't use Windows hosting.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Windows, and by the way, A2 is really cheap for Windows hosting. That's an important point because I even laughed at some of the people tweeting, "My e-commerce site's down. I'm losing money. Oh no! Can someone point me to an inexpensive hosting service that will replace them?" I'm like, by the way, this inexpensive hosting with no failover, no data plan is exactly how you got into this trouble. Because when companies cut corners, raise an eyebrow. Windows hosting has a cost. If their cost is somehow, 1/8 of what it is at our hosting companies, they did something to cut corners.
And I mean, if you want to go and be at one of these cheap hosting providers, how about you take some of that backing up of your data in your own hands, have a disaster recovery plan, have some automation for deployments, and then you may be able to go over and spin up a workload in AWS for just a period of time until A2 gets their stuff together.
Yeah, and it's what people are complaining about the lack of backups. A2 lost days and sometimes more. It's a little fuzzy on just how for each customer. They clearly didn't have like last night's backup, and they got crypto locker. The part that's really confusing to me that I posted in MI Slack, the MISEC board. I said, how do they get lateral movement between separate instances of VPS servers? That's an interesting problem. So one of two things. When you're using your own private server, that means you're managing your private server. So A2, in my thoughts at least, I don't use A2 web hosting for Windows. What backdoor was installed in all these that someone found that allowed lateral movement between there? So you pop one box, that should have been stopped right there. And it appears to be based on the file lock names of crypto malware, but still, how they do laterally between different companies. So there's definitely some shortcuts that were taken. Things were done that were just done wrong internally. I doubt they'll do a debrief because one thing I've learned as someone who uses A2 hosting is I'm less than super thrilled with them. Their hosting for the Linux hosting we use for WordPress actually works really well. It's reasonably fast. But when it comes to vagueness, they had an outage last year. You can't get answers out of them. The outage was for 12 hours, but answers were apparently not abundant. Other than, now it's fixed. What happened? It was broke. Thanks, guys. I was kind of worried. I realized when I couldn't get to a site for 12 hours, it was certainly broken.
Yeah, and I already knew it was broken. But
and I know it's
happened?
fixed because the site can come up now. So, I learned nothing from them. But we use them as a hosting company because they're local to us. They're 30 minutes from here. And generally speaking, in the last few years, we've only had one minor outage. And we still had no outage related to this because this was very specifically attack on their Windows VPS. But it's still interesting from an attack standpoint. One, it's ransomware. So it sounds like some poor internal security to get popped and ransomware internally by a bunch of tech people. There's one problem. Or was it a VPS that got caught and then they have a common agent across all the other private instances they use for management? I don't know. That seems confusing. And another lesson learned here, and this is something, even though I host with A2, we have a complete backup system for all of our WordPress sites. That is not on A2 because I don't trust any web hosting company. We have more than one we use. A2 is our primary. We use Site5 as our secondary. And then on top of that, on a third, we have different backups. We have a backup here at our office, and then we have another backup going to Backblaze in an encrypted bucket. So
Operational excellence.
We try to do that. Like, these are the things you do.
This is hygiene, right? You change your underwear, you change your toothbrush heads on your electric toothbrush. You back your stuff up at different places.
Yeah, and we don't have the same password across sites. Even though
boy.
we have an admin password, this comes up all the time. What happens if you have a federated system and one admin password across all your sites? Explain, Dave. Explain, Xavier.
Because now I have your,
Entire
single
network.
right. I have your network because I have that single piece of credential, be it a hash or something that I cracked and actually get a password, and now I can federate into all of your clients.
Right.
And I have administrator, which means I can bind a new CMD with my own Trojan, and Bob's my uncle.
Yeah, so these
Done.
are it's a bad practice, and that's one of the reasons from, like he said, operational excellence is keeping a separate password. I mean, it would be great. It would be greatly convenient if I could just use the same password across all my clients. Boy, wouldn't that be easy.
That's not gonna happen.
But
well,
I don't do that because that's a horrible idea.
So
No one
I was
should do that.
Yeah, I was just listening to Darknet Diaries, and maybe it was the LVS, the Las Vegas Sands episode, and that's what they did.
Yeah, that at least
And Mimikatz.
Mimikatz got them.
There you go.
When they did the Las Vegas Sands, the same thing. Once they had admin, that was able to get them, because of federated access, that got them Singapore, that got them the data center in Vegas, and
exactly.
only because of a mistake the hackers made. The hackers broke the DC connection to one of their other sites. They were able to keep one of the other sites up there. By accident of the hackers.
Whoops. So we locked ourselves out. That happens. You run an exploit on a box, the service crashes.
Crash. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoops.
So this is all just bad things.
Shout out to Cosmo Durst. I'm hoping I'm saying your name
Thank
right.
you. Hope you say your name right. Thank you for the beer money.
Thank you for the bin fund. We appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We will.
This
we'll
this
drink
week
to that.
I'm drinking some Hoptronics.
That's good stuff.
It's some funness. If you've never been to New Holland, go check them out. If somebody from New Holland Brewing wants to send me a keg. I would love a keg.
Our address is on my website. Just send,
There you go.
We'll get maybe the kegerator's in order at some point for the office, but
Maybe we need a reason to get a kegerator.
yeah. So that was an interesting read with the A2 thing, though. It was upsetting. It's a local company. The Register had a great title for it, which made me happy because it's a Register. They always have snarky titles that I like, but I'll
Biting
read up
the
on
hand,
it.
right?
Yeah, biting the hand that feeds you. They used to do the back office. So in England, instead of sysadmin, they would refer to him as like the back office operator. And they had that long-running series, The Back Office Operator from Hell, which was always a fun read when I was younger. I don't know if they do it anymore. I don't think it's as, or at least isn't as funny. This is another interesting hack, and it's kind of
Scary.
well, this is how I hacked 50 plus companies in 6 hours.
50 plus. And,
Yeah.
can anybody guess how? Can anybody guess how?
Yeah.
No?
It's a number of ways.
It was the thing that we talked about last week, the proof of concept that I made
Oh yeah.
to assure that my company was not affected by this exact attack. And it's interesting because this kid wrote a scanner, went out, used public information, and owned 50 plus sites in 6 hours,
Yeah.
doing the same thing that I did to make sure my company was safe. So there's some blue team, red team thought pattern for you right there, right? This is why the purple team is so important, because you need to have people that are on your side that can read CVEs, understand what's happening, write a proof of concept, make sure that you're not vulnerable, because otherwise you get 50 plus, you're the 51.
Yeah, and what's important here, this is an RC in Confluence, and I had done a video about what happens when you run Confluence as root. Don't run Confluence as root. It's a horrible idea, but basically there was an RCE that allowed you for path traversal, so you could actually get to like Etsy passwords. You could traverse, instead of just saying the slash in there, you could basically slash backwards into it as a basic way to describe how that is if you don't understand how path traversal works. But that type of exploit, that's a common problem where you can go backwards in, and now you, instead of stopping at the root of where Confluence is installed, you go a few steps further until you find the things you're looking for, like Etsy password. So this is a whole, breakdown of how they did it. And it was just off of this thing. Xavier tweeted that he wrote a proof of concept. This was released. This is documented. It needs to be updated, but it's not being updated.
Nope.
My friend has a company that's what they do is go around updating for companies, Confluence. And I asked him how they were dealing with it, and he said basically they told companies, they first gave them a window because they're on the inside track, so they knew before the vulnerability was released, they knew about it maybe almost exactly how long ago, but a little while ago. They were given a heads up, so they had some time to mitigate this across all their sites. They gave a time frame, and that time frame, they said, if you don't respond to this email, we pick the time frame, we just shut your site down and update it. But those are companies that are paying for management.
Right.
They're at one time, I think when I looked at, we have 62,000 Confluence sites. They don't manage that many of them.
Right.
So
How about this? How about this? The moment you make a custom plugin for anything, Latticent, I think I'm saying their name right.
Atlassian, yeah.
Basically, you lose all support. That's just how it works. They don't want to support any customizations that you've made. And let's be honest, when you buy one of these tools, if you're anybody that does millions of dollars in revenue, you're customizing your Confluence. It's not standard. It's not standard Jira. It's not standard anything. So you immediately become unupdatable, right? And that sucks. That's sad. That's how it has to be.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. All it takes is a public-facing Confluence server, which there are tons of them, according to Shodan, and not having patched. And because so many people, there is a lot of customization you can do to Confluence as a document management system, that they do customize it. And once you do that, done. That's it. It's now a lot of work. Now, my friend's company handles that, but trust me, it doesn't come for free. They're not just, $10 a month, we'll update Atlassian. They make a lot more than that updating this stuff. I mean, it's because of the complexities of updating it. It takes a team of engineers to keep it up to date and fix all those custom plugins, and then they have to make snapshots. They roll it forward, figure out what's going to break, roll it back, fix the code adjustment.
Exactly.
Like I know how their internal process works to do this. It's some effort that goes into building these. So one, it's expensive to update, and as we know, many times when things are expensive, people just don't do them. And people wonder why I didn't go with Confluence. I went with MediaWiki. Why would Tom do that?
Be ashamed if you had a bug.
Be ashamed if I had a bug. Our wiki's not public facing, but still I want it to be up to date. It is still 100% patched. It's 100% up to date. These are important things when you're choosing any software platform. How hard is that platform to update? That is some people blame me for liking open source because it's free. No. It's not just free. I pay for a lot of the software I have. It's about, does it update? Is it secure? Do they have a process? How does that process handle? These are all thoughts you have to put around your product choices before you stand something up. So if you got a company deciding Atlassian, buy an update package, buy service and support, and get that before you become one of the 50 companies in only 6 hours by someone, slightly motivated.
He has his OSCP. CEH OSCP. Paper pusher. I'm just letting you know. This is exactly a lesson directly out of what we've been training on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a CVE. What can you do with this? How do you scan for it to make sure that the service doesn't crash? How do you write an exploit for it? And then how do you automate that so that you can get as many of them as possible so that you can start your botnet?
I mean, we were doing research the other night, and we found that 2 CVEs had the exact identical
Oh, my God. Yeah.
coding.
The exact same exploit. I mean, literally as a buffer overflow vulnerability. The only difference was the actual input parameter. That was the only thing. It was the exact same code, exact same exploit
for 2
tier.
different programs.
For 2
and I'm
different
sure
programs.
it's more programs that it could affect.
Oh, or for certain. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's
a scary world out there.
It's a scary,
big world.
It seems scary, but then so much of the stuff we talk about is really obvious. We always find the same thing. Oh, look, they use Mimikatz. And we're like, wait a minute. Shouldn't everything detect Mimikatz as a threat? Yeah,
No,
it does.
It doesn't, apparently.
Well, it does. Well, then you find out, we haven't updated anything.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it did. We added Mimikatz to the threat database in 2017. Our last update was 2015.
Oh, boy.
And I've done this on my own. I mean, because I do a lot of consulting work. I have numerous. It's one of the things I'm busy doing when it keeps you from videos is coming in these companies. And good. You know what? I have something about this. Sometimes they get scared watching me talk about these hacks. And that is the catalyst for them to go, I seen that hacking video. I have a Confluence server that hasn't been updated in 3 years.
Can he use this proof of concept against me, please?
Yeah. They said, I think I should probably fix this.
You should.
And it's like, I'm not trying to market on fears. I'm trying to be very realistic. Some of these hacks are obvious. They're just because you didn't update, didn't stand up a server. I helped a guy who was on Ubuntu 14 with a public-facing server. I'm like, this thing's like dirty cow. Everything is wide open on this. We've got dirty cow. We've got the poodle attack. We've got, because it's an SSL. I'm like, there's nothing you don't have. beast.
crime. All of the other random, like the SSL stuff is scary.
Yeah, I'm just like you.
Sweet. Oof.
I'm like the only reason Heartbleed.
Oh my
He was
god.
Heartbleed vulnerable too. The only reason this person wasn't pwned is by some random chance that they're just noise on the internet didn't catch up with them.
Are we sure that they're not pwned? What if they came, got what they needed months ago, and left?
Because of what they were running, we actually, my suggestion and mitigation was I don't want to know what's on that box anymore, but we just did a bad database backup. We installed the new version of the software and restored the database. That way I'm only pulling database, which has no executables. It's a clean. It's just a data and connections and pushed over. So,
maintaining access on attack defense.
That's how you avoid that. Is I just grab the data off of it, just the database. The database has no executables. It's just it's a dump, and then I push a whole new setup, import the database with all clean load from scratch. Away you go. Nuke and pave. That's my answer. I said I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk it. I don't know what this box has been sitting around for a little while without any updates. So these are just ways we do that. I will start answering. So someone says, "Hey, any tips for getting root on a
NetMine?
NetMine. Oh boy, everybody wants the NetMine. Go ahead. I'm gonna let Mo have the floor. Mo get some shine.
I don't even know if I have my notes.
Man, I think I got NetMine notes. Give me 1 second.
Or you can just add me on Hack the Box, and we can.
Will you hook these folks up, man? Give them your Keybase. Tell them to hit you up. Drop your Twitter.
Oh yeah,
he just made a Twitter so that we can.
Twitter, so you guys can contact me.
And then
we'll add it all. We'll add all of our contacts. Now that he has a Twitter, we'll add it to the show notes down here.
What is it?
So my Twitter is OffSecMo.
OffSec. OffSec.
OFFSECMOE. You can hit me up. We can exchange info. We can go and hack the box together, and I'll show you how to do NetMine. I did get the user flag, the root flag, and root shell. So
yeah, so
I'll show you.
I don't think I follow OffSecMo yet. I gotta add.
Yeah, OffSecMo is pretty new. I've convinced him. I've convinced Mo to come over to the semi-public side of the
semi-public side.
Yeah, they're trying to get me to be social.
I mean, it's for you guys, right? Like, we want to make sure that you guys have an easy way to communicate to us. Shout out to all the people that reached out to me about the books. You guys were definitely reminding me that, when I say something, people hold me up to it, right? And so I made sure I uploaded them, and I got a lot of great feedback. Fortress Labs, that's one person. Phil's BBS, another person.
My Hack the Box username is ZeroCool. Can you type it in there for him?
Yeah.
ZeroCool.
Yeah, with the Z3R0K3WL.
I think I'm spelling it right.
I don't know. I did too. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. If you tweet them, if we wrong about the way we typed here, I don't remember how to spell things.
I'll put it right.
You forgot the zero. The actual.
I put the zero.
No, you did.
That's Lawrence.
I screwed up. Z. All right.
No problem, Patton.
Don't listen to Tom. Listen to one of those guys.
And this is the awesome part about doing live, because we would have never had this interaction.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
We want to know what you want to know, so we can tell you.
Exactly. Because I love doing Hack the Box, and now that I'm out the OSEP lab, I want to do more Hack the Box. So, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just he's missing the zero between the R and the K. But, yeah, it's ZeroCool. Just hit me up on Hack the Box, and, I'll give you some tips.
That's interesting.
So, let's talk about Dell.
Oh, boy.
Remote code execution on most Dell computers. So, this is something I thought about a long time ago, because who hasn't used, when you're on a Dell, you want to look up what the specs are on a Dell. You can go to their website and it says, hey, we'll inspect this computer for you, the Dell utility. And someone thought, I wonder about how that Dell Support Assist works. And they jumped in reverse engineering.
A 17-year-old security researcher went and did an Nmap scan. That's it. And the rest is history.
Rest is history. Now, granted, this is someone 17, and they did require, and I seen that someone knocked on this person going, hey, they required a man in the middle to make this happen. I'm like, no.
Is that hard?
He's 17. He's 17. That's what he required.
Right.
Take someone who's a little bit more seasoned veteran. there may be some more to it. And this is one of those things. Every iteration gets better. So he, in detail, did a wonderful write-up here of all the details of exactly how we compromised and got in between on the Dell service agent here. So you have to break that down, and then you can spoof it, and then et cetera, and now, boom, we have ownership of this computer through this. Excellent write-up, excellent level of detail by this person who wrote it up. So hats off to them for doing it. They have the proof of concept how to do it. Now, let's talk about that. RC, we got a whole company filled with Dell computers. You got an office full of them. There's a lot of offices filled with Dell. They are the number one selling computer by quite a margin. They pop into the DNS server. They've actually updated and patched your system so they know where Mimikatz is. So you're not going to get in that way, right? But you have control of a firewall. You have control of a DNS. The couple critical things. Mm-hmm. That's all you need. You spoof that. Now you own all these different ones. Anyone you can talk into, call IT, pretend, hey, can you pull up? I need some service information. We're going to upgrade your computer. Think about the social engineering side of the tab. They call that person up. They go to the Dell website. They pop that on there. Boom, I got access to the accounting right there. There's the next step in. So,
and on newer Dell computers, it's installed by default.
Yeah.
So sysadmins out there, be aware of what you are allowing to be installed by default from Dell or from any of these providers. Lenovo had this issue almost 9 years ago where they had some keys leaked that had
yes, it was less than 9 years ago.
Some very far range in the future of dates for when these certs expired, and that was a really shaky situation for those guys. So you want to make sure you don't have what I like to consider spyware on your computer or with a PUP, potentially unwanted program. If I wrote antivirus, that's what it would come up as.
But Dell suffered from this before. This is not the first time.
Exactly.
They found a back door that you can just use on any Dell computer, which brings back my dislike for Dell computers.
Right. And this is one of those.
Dell is awesome.
I don't like
I'll run a 7R10 if, R710, excuse me, R710. If you guys want to send me a free blade, I'll take it.
Well, and let's talk a little bit more about this. So the one of the things about any of these companies, this goes to Lenovo, this goes to Dell, and many other companies, and the Lenovo attack was an interesting one as well, because they had, and this comes only to the Lenovo attack was on the Lenovo consumer-facing computers, and there was an attack between, and I have to dig deep because it's a number of years ago. Komodo had some crappy, stupid software they wanted to ship with it that also kind of man in the middle itself because it wanted to inject ads or whatever. It was something stupid. It wasn't malicious by intent, but for convenience, when you're mass-producing consumer computers, using the same keys over and over again became an attack vector. Once those keys became found that they were actually stored on the computer, that made kind of a mess of things. One of the things we do, this is just, we order computers, we format them. Windows 10 has actually made it easier. This is something we do for our clients. I order it, I wipe it. I don't even load, unless I feel it's necessary, some of the crapware that they load.
Crapware.
Yeah, depending on what it is. If you're ordering a business class laptop, there's less of it. If you're ordering a consumer laptop, God help you, it's filled with crap. That's how they monetize it. Half the parts of the computer is subsidized by all the crap they load on it. For me, it's less of a worry because I'm running Linux. He's running a Mac. These guys are running Mac. Mac doesn't, they've just never been in that business. But the PC makers frequently have. They're going to subsidize the cost of the computer by putting some junk on there. Hence the reason you have so many extra security risks by those softwares through supply chain attack, through key compromises. This is a real concern when you want to talk about your own operational security. If you get a computer, you format it. My friend who does dev work for a larger foundation, he does the same thing. He wipes all the computers. He didn't have them shipped to his house. He has them shipped different people's. He has them shipped to my house, and then he makes sure the seals aren't broken, and then he formats the computer before he boots it, and then he feels as though he can load his trusted software on there. Yeah. This is just one of those things. Like, once again, he's running Linux. Matter of fact, if you got to go full, I don't know. You ever use Cubes?
No.
Cubes OS.
No.
Cubes OS. If you really want to wrap your tinfoil hat really tight, go Cubes OS.
Not even FreeBSD?
Not even FreeBSD.
No OpenBSD?
No. Cubes OS spins up a virtual machine, a disposable virtual machine for every program you run. So Cubes is really, there is no cross, because everything's its own saved virtual machine. Cubes is amazing. We've actually reviewed it on the Sunday Morning Linux review. We've covered it. It's a really cool operating system.
That's a malware analyst dream.
It is because you can even set up isolated incidents. You're like, I don't even want to click this link. So spin up your own VM, but it all glues together through the backend operating system. So you have one interface. You can spin up a VM with a browser in it and then dispose of it. Memory and everything is all containerized.
Is it Kubernetes based?
I didn't know.
It's CentOS with KVM,
Kubernetes.
I think. It's CentOS with Zen as a hypervisor, and it has Zen's not KVM, but Zen as a hypervisor. It's a very unique. Look it up. It's called CUBESOS. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
I don't think it's Docker. I think it's all built on a series of VMs, not a series of Docker. Someone was asking about that. It's been a little while since I used it. We may do a review at some point on it because the new version came out. But boy,
I love how they market it as a reasonably secure operating system.
Yeah, it's like tinfoil hat tight, but anyone who's, the more rational you become about security, you're like, yeah, it's reasonably secure. Even if I say what would be from the normal world, operational excellence, it's reasonably secure if you're doing operational excellence. Like, the more you're into security, the more you face the reality of security.
I like it. I'm down for it. I'll probably run it.
It's a neat one because of all the disposable VMs, because everything is so locked down. Now, there's obviously some difficulties here. Getting data from the VMs, not arbitrarily easy.
Right.
Copying and pasting from the VMs requires some type of ninja finger moves because they don't let just Control-C-V work between the VMs. There's like a series of things you have to do to get files even between things. So there's a lot of disadvantages, but all those disadvantages require your implicit thought to make something happen. So isolation is hard to break on cubes. You can feel really confident running it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
this is what we love about open source. This is all open source.
yeah, cubes, QUBES. I don't know why I said C. So
And I wanted to bring up a point about the crapware. If you're a person that installs a lot of apps, my tip would be to always do a custom install. Never do the recommended. Or just blindly install the program for you. Always do custom, so it'll give you an itemized list of exactly what it's installing.
And directories in which it is being installed, because
yes,
I mean, but if you're running Windows, you have a whole slew of problems that I've discovered over the last month that you won't be able to fix, such as unquoted service paths, right? Where if you had a space in a directory and some directory / and I make an exe of /sum.exe, it just runs .sum as system.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
So be careful on Windows in general.
Definitely.
Definitely. And I hats off. Windows 7 is actually getting a little better, but I mean, I remember forever ago. I remember my first Windows experience goes all the way back to the 90s. So I used to and it wasn't that my goal was to bypass security. I just had to get things done. The $C and all the $ pipe shares that used to be open by default on machines and things like that. There was so many little things you could just do to get where I'm like, I just need to get this file over here real quick. Windows has always been, because it's such an old operating system, it's just going to be one of those things. It took a long time to bring it to a level of security, and now it's just a level of headache every time there's an update. So Linux gives you much finer control, much more detail inside of that. It's very, very helpful. So that's, so OPSEC security on that. And, we didn't get to it, but I'm probably going to do my own separate video on it. But we've done a podcast on it over on my Sunday Morning Linux review. We talk about some of the things you do when you get a new computer. We just walk you through all the steps. Like, you should have encrypted hard drives. You should have a BIOS password. You should have this, and this. Operational security. I'm speaking at PenguinCon this weekend. I have a whole, a video. It's a little bit more consumer, a little bit not too deeply technical, but I've been doing it for years, called Protecting the Digital You. I outline how you think of the digital you, how you think of your persona, and kind of bring people some tips to how you protect yourself. Little stuff, but boy, it makes a big difference in the end, because it's always that little thing that's what the hackers often find themselves getting. Yeah, Windows 98 was the easiest hack. There was no concept of security. It was all bolted on after.
So I was going to respond to that. There's a lot of those systems still running out in the world. I won't say 98 particularly, but I used to work for a two-letter company that ran a lot of very old Windows on factory floors in which they could not update these sorts of devices. So, or the software was written in a way in which it just would not be able to be updated, right? And there's factory that's producing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of value.
Yeah.
And they just keep it offline and consider it air gapped. So, yeah, that's what's scary, right? Like me and a friend of mine, Paul Erickson. Shout out Paul Erickson,
Hey,
love you, bro. He literally, like, we literally have a thing where we go, the '90s call. They want their exploits back because it's fucking bad out here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going. I was trying to find real quick. I have a client that's still running OS2. I have a picture of it, but right here.
Good point, Patton. Good point.
Boy. Oh boy.
Good point, Patton.
Or XP. Oh yeah, I was just telling him about how I don't know. Never mind.
Never mind. But good point, Patton.
Great point.
So this is a photo I'm sharing. This is at a manufacturing client of mine. You know what's nice? This manufacturing client, hats off these guys. OS2, yes, this is from the late 80s, early 90s, whenever OS2 Warp was a thing.
Yes.
Well, that's a clean facility, ain't it?
That is beautiful.
It looks like they just installed it. This stuff's been running for 20-something years, and it works great. By the
Making
way,
that money off that.
this is why I was there fixing it. I was fixing a problem. I had to do a disk check with OS2, so, have bust out the old school skills.
You whipped out the old manual.
Yeah, well, bust out the old, it was in my head, man, trying to find
go.
OS2 Warp commands. And fixing the C drive and replacing the battery in it.
Bill Green says, does anybody remember Windows NT? Yes,
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
actually do.
We were just talking about Windows NT at work. That was
The
interesting.
worst.
Yeah, Windows NT's back where I cut my teeth, man. NT4. NT, I was migrating. My very first corporate job was migrating NT3.5 to NT4. So,
Whoops.
I've been at this for a minute.
Yeah. I can't say I've been at it that long. I will say that NT is something that I've played with in growing up, but I won't say that, like, I can't say I've had that experience of, like, upgrading it, right?
The NT was my
or even
introduction
attacking it.
to computers in general.
There you go.
At 13.
There you go.
That's about when it came out, around 97, 98, I want to say.
Yep.
He just aced himself. Docs.
I did.
Write the docs down as you get them. They don't come back out often. So.
Running IP over IPX NT network. I was the one I did. We migrated them off of the old IBM TwinAxe, and then it was they had a Lantastic server, and they had a what was that other one? All the BNC connectors, the token rings. That was all my early networking days for all that stuff. Man, it's old school. Old school. I'm actually excited. We're talking about doing this at PenguinCon. We're gonna get some of those gray hats. And there's guys older than me, and we're all gonna sit around this, like, we're gonna have a panel at PenguinCon talking about, reminiscing while we drink beers about the old days and all the dumb things we used to have to work on.
Back in my day,
Everything
everything ran in single user mode.
Everything. There was no multi-user concept for any of this. So back in my day. Yeah. No, so it's Michael Lucas is going to be there. If you're not familiar with Michael Lucas, if you want to learn SSH, BSD jails, or anything, he's been on my channel before. He has wrote the book on SSH. I think he's at volume 12 now.
Okay.
He has the most extensive book you'll ever learn about SSH.
He's been on Sunday Linux Review,
Yes,
right?
he's been on that.
I've heard that episode.
He's a local Detroiter. He's a really interesting guy. He actually, in the 90s, started a column called The Big Scary Daemons because he was a BSD writer. And so he's a long time. He's actually a science fiction writer, and he's a technical writer. So his books are filled with quirky humor. So they're actually not just boring tech manuals. So they're really good reading. They're one of the things I'm going to throw on a recommended reading list. And then if you ever want to understand that I talk about FreeNAS, the BSD file system, I always joke that Michael Lucas isn't the guy that wrote the book on the ZFS file system. He wrote two.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if the guy understands things that are and he has a good way of explaining them. So that's going to be kind of fun to talk about that. Because it's not just reminiscent, but it's also interesting how we got here, and he's relevant. He's just published another book on the latest jail system that BSD uses, which understanding it is your first step to exploiting it. I'll throw that out there. That's with anything, though.
I mean, this is it. Anything.
Yeah.
Read the manual.
Read the manual. Now, the last article I have here I want to talk about is, this is great. So, Recorded Future Credential Stuffing Attacks. Recorded Future is a research company, and wow.
Oh boy, this is the one. This is
So good.
nuts. This is crazy. Mm-hmm. This is scary kind of stuff, Tom.
Yes.
Like this is. Oh boy, I can't even.
So this is what I'm pulling up is screenshots out of this, and literally what they did was they created a whole dark web persona.
Yep.
They started going to these websites. These websites are completely automated. Picture eBay, or let's say Amazon, because of the level of market automation they're
Right.
using here. Like one-click buying,
Right.
one-click buying of credentials.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Well, there's a lot of reasons you shouldn't. Why wouldn't you, though, is the question. But basically, they break down.
Allegedly.
Yeah. How cheap it is to buy your stolen credentials.
Cheap.
Really cheap.
Cheap. Because it's automated, like we just said.
They've automated the automated
free
market
money.
price. So let's actually get this. This is graphic over here.
It's very cheap.
There we go.
It's been cheap. It's always going to be cheap.
Man.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you guys give away your
It
information.
only costs you about $2 to buy someone's Amazon credentials, $1 for PayPal credentials. That's because people ain't got no money in their PayPal. Not enough. $3.50 for eBay credentials. Expedia, Airbnb is only $1.50. FedEx, a FedEx account costs you $1.50.
And relative, a credit card number costs you about $8.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I've gone out and researched. I know how much your identity is worth on the dark web. You're cheap.
Yeah, no, and it's an account. This is the free market at work. It would be expensive if there were few of you.
Right.
There's not.
There's
The
not.
problem is there's so many credentials, and pretty much all. When this is just the way it works, because it's an economy of scale here. The way they're doing it is they pop a password on one site. And what do people do? They use the same damn password everywhere. I know. I
Yes.
deal with this all the time. I beat it over people's head not to do this, but they do. So they use passwords, the same password everywhere. And therefore, if I have your FedEx password, I probably have your Netflix password. I probably have your PayPal password. Or sometimes people think they're clever and they put FED on their FedEx password at the end, and then PAY at their PayPal one. And then I wonder if NET could be their Netflix one. But the reality is all of these are thwarted by two-factor. And what happens is when you're doing password spraying, you're doing credential stuffing, you're just running that through them, you're like, oh, that one has 2FA, delete it from the list. You're not worth hacking at that point because unless you're a direct target, 2FA, you just skip over them. Yeah. So 2FA kind of gets your name off this list pretty quickly because there's enough people not using 2FA that they got plenty to do. They can sell a lot of these. But this is just an excellent write-up that walks you through. What I like is we got here Black Bullet and Private Keeper, Sniper,
Century NBA.
Woxy. I like that Woxy. I know. I like that Woxy. They have a cracked version of it, so it's like Woxy's a paid service, but someone cracked it and published it on the internet. So
of course,
someone got mad at apparently the developers of Woxy. So one hacker drops a way to crack the tool from another hacker. But all of these are the different tools because obviously you don't want to log in from your IP address. That would be a terrible idea. Not that I'm going to give you instructions here.
Terrible idea.
Yeah. But this is what happens is so they're using these are utilities by which you can rent proxies. So first you go to one market, you buy a bunch of user IDs, you head over to the next market. You buy a bunch of dispersed proxies scattered around the globe that you then upload those credentials so you can attack from different angles instead of coming from a single IP address.
And this is why IP addresses should not be used in attribution.
They should not be used in attribution.
And this is literally what the entire InfoSec Twitter has been fighting about for the last, week now. Because Krebs doxed somebody literally because of this exact statement. So Krebs doxed me. I'm Xavier D. Johnson, all right? There you go. Doxed. Done. Right? That's the equivalent of having 2FA. Doxed myself. Now you know who I am.
Yeah. And this is attribution is obviously really hard, but that's a little bit of a sidetrack. But a lot of this is, and here we're going to cover the mitigation task. How do you protect yourself from these two things? Criminals will often use paid proxy servers, aside from using publicly available free proxies for further obfuscation attacks. However, our analysis shows that such services often use geo-spoofing techniques to create a wide pool of IPs. Such domains will have the same IP address, but they will use different subnets monitoring for web traffic. By the way, one side note here that I want to make sure I'm clear on. You know that little "I'm not a robot"? Every one of these tools defeats the "I'm not a robot" checkbox. So that
easily,
yeah. Those aggravate the humans more than they aggravate the hackers.
Yes.
Just throwing it out there, guys. In case you thought Google was going to save you from because Google's got the most popular "I'm not a robot" option that a lot of companies integrate. We've integrated in there to help. It does seem to solve some of the spam bots, but it doesn't stop the hacking bots. But number two, like I mentioned, the introduction of multi-factor organizations historically experienced the introduction of multi-factor authentication has proven highly effective mitigation practice for many organizations that historically experienced high levels of credential stuffing attacks. Just like I said, number two is one of your biggest things. Now, monitoring criminal underground communities for the availability of new configuration, filters, targeting, organization, acquisition, and others through analysis. Such files, additional attackers are indicators. This is those IOCs we talked about last week and how more people should share them. It's indicators of compromise. And this is where some companies do offer levels of dark web monitoring. My problem that I've had that I've seen any of the dark web monitoring is it creates a lot of noise. Has my email just been pwned? Which day of the week is it? Yes, every day. I was looking at my LastPass. I have over 800 websites that I have a login to with just one of my email addresses. That one of those sites gets popped every day just by the sheer number of websites I have. So telling me that my email was used in a compromise is completely irrelevant piece of information. Right. I'm using a multi-factor. I'm using a 2FA on every website that has it available. It just creates noise, but at least it's something you know. If you know what site, that's the important. If you can find out that XYZ company that you regularly use was hacked, A2 hosting, then it's a really big...
Ooh, burn!
And a lot of this, because they're using what they've referred to credential stuffing, option number 4, end users can reduce the risk of being victimized by credential stuffing attack by using a password manager and setting up unique strong password for each online account.
No. I must be this guy, okay? People are freaking out about LastPass, so be careful about who you choose for your, provider of password management, I guess is what I'll say. Me personally, I have a piece of open source software that I've written that I use, and it's a piece of hardware that I connect to my device that spins up a local web server, and I call it Digital Cryptex. That's my thing. Maybe I'll market it one day, but that's how I manage my passwords outside of one singular other provider which I don't trust the same way that he doesn't trust any hosting providers. You have to have control over your secrets. They're your secrets. You only really get one shot with this, right? If your secrets get owned, it's bad. And so people freak out about Citrix owns LogMeIn, owns LastPass. And it's like, you got some people that'll say it doesn't, some people that say it does. How about this? Don't trust anybody. Be paranoid. Put your tinfoil on and come up with your own solution, or go online, do a small bit of research. Maybe you'll run across an open source solution that'll be able to get some of this done for you. One open source solution that I like a lot is called Arc, A-R-K. I'm going to throw this out there. That's a really, really good one. It allows you to be able to use a Raspberry Pi Nano. That's basically what I built Cryptex based off of. And I think that it's very, very useful, especially if you want to be able to have a place where you're storing all of your MFA tokens, as well as the seeds that go along with them, as well as all of your secrets and potentially other sensitive information such as passports and driver's license. And, if for whatever reason you're abroad and you lose some of these documents, you'll have your digital cryptex in which you can get back to some of those things to prove whom you are, right?
Yeah. But another one out there, Bitwarden.
Bitwarden is awesome. Oh my God, it's awesome.
And it's been code vetted. It's one of the ones that people ask me, and it's funny because I did a live stream earlier today, and a lot of people are asking about Bitwarden. I fully think it's a great product. My pain of switching from LastPass really comes down to the fact that I have so many clients using it, and I share passwords with them, so it's the convenience problem of that. LastPass is something, because it's closed source, people have worries about. Tavis Ormandy has poked really, really hard at it and found flaws, but LastPass has responded absolutely brilliantly, and none of those flaws were default conditions. They were very edge case, special use case conditions, but LastPass did the right thing and still closed those vulnerabilities. They took very specific circumstances, and once again, they were not default settings, so people who just installed and started using LastPass were not vulnerable to those settings. LastPass has not been compromised, but it's one of those things.
It's just owned by some shady guys.
It's owned by LogMeIn, and they're just a god-awful company.
They're
someone asked,
shady.
"Are you worried about LogMeIn?" I said, every day. I said, they have destroyed so many products. I am literally shocked that they bought LastPass like 2 years ago now and haven't destroyed it.
Right.
Yet. Yeah.
Now, I'm in opposition. Don't ever trust anyone or anything with their passwords. You are your password safe.
Passphrases. How about we get away from passwords? Start making passphrases. Pick them out the Bible.
That's fine.
All the phrases.
They're all really high entropy with LastPass, so yeah.
Make your own passwords. Keep them for you. Don't trust them to LastPass. Don't trust them to anything.
Well, Bitwarden's open source, and you can run your self-storage on that. So if you want to run your own instance of Bitwarden, you absolutely can.
Listen to me. Don't do it. Don't do it. You will be owned. Don't do it.
This is hilarious.
You have to run it right.
He's a real hacker, so he's freaked out, and I understand. He does not use LastPass. Some other people, including me, may or may not use LastPass.
And I see you guys talking about YubiKey in the chat.
YubiKey is the wave.
YubiKey's good.
You can. I just
Fido
saw, I just saw an article where you can weaponize your YubiKey. So I guess that means you can put malicious things onto it.
Good.
So that means it can also be reversed.
I don't get it.
I mean,
What?
if you can start putting things on
Fido 2
YubiKey,
is secure, and
Yeah,
it is. It's very, very well vetted by people whom I would not ever go against in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to side with Fido.
And I'm gonna throw. I have someone talk about LogMe and Hamachi. Hamachi was awesome. LogMeIn destroyed it. I remember that. Oh, there's like a graveyard. There's like a trail of destruction for what did LogMeIn buy and screw
Exactly.
up.
Yeah.
So yeah, just me. I didn't like it at all. I was like, oh crap, they bought LastPass. They've really not done much with it. I think it was one of those things. Maybe they're done destroying products. I don't know.
Nope.
But I
they're
don't
not.
trust them.
Give it some time.
But in case you're wondering, I did that video on Zero Tier. Zero Tier works very much like Hamachi. So if you long for the days of Hamachi, I want to say Zero Tier, which is open source and a well-documented protocol that they built. It's one of those things you can use in
Zero Tier is game changing.
It is really slick.
Love it. I'm really, really dangerous with it, and I am excited for it. Once I learn how to do more tunneling and more pivoting,
Yeah.
I'll feel much more dangerous than I do. I'm already feeling like, wow, like this is pretty scary. But like once I really figure out and dial in on my pivoting, like the way that I really want to, my God, that thing becomes scary.
And someone mentioned they did Minecraft with Hamachi. You could do specifically. There's a write-up on how to do Minecraft with Zero Tier.
There you go.
It works fine with that. It's actually a popular use case is people who want to run gaming servers with it because the company gives you your first 100 network devices for free with no charge. So
good luck finding 100 friends who are elite enough to have master PC races level of PCs because like I'm like one of 2 other people. I mean, I'm one of 3, right? Basically.
Well, and then to top that off, if you go for their paid one, $29 a month.
Exactly.
That's really reasonable for a enterprise enterprise networking solution like they have. So I'm impressed with Zero Tier top to bottom. I've done a couple videos on it. We've deployed it and have clients that like, this is a solution for us. Like, this is a really cool idea. And we have a few more we're looking at. We have a couple more use cases where we have some transportation client and they want to tie it to their server. So once we have some of these deployed, we're going to talk a little more about them, of how we implement them, because these are just cool solutions that are way easier than VPN, but still have that security. And usually easy means usually less security. This is one of those few times where from an end user standpoint, it becomes more transparent to them. They open their laptop, they're at McDonald's, they can connect to their server securely. That's a win all the way around.
Yep, always.
Oh, what else we got? Do we have any? I think that's the end of the show.
Shout out to IzzySec. IzzySec, I gotta do a couple shout outs.
Oh, of course, please.
There's some people that have really been helping me out lately. IzzySec, Rohit Nambir, I think I'm saying your name right. Nishant Sharma at Wi-Fi Sec Guy. Rob at I Am Rawstring. I think I'm saying all this stuff right, but you know who you are if I'm saying your name. Security Tube's been awesome. Fortress Lab's been awesome. No Self is always awesome.
Awesome. Shout out to Fortress.
It's been a pleasure doing this type of stuff with you guys. Hopefully I can continue to learn more from you. Hopefully teach those who I'm in a position to teach the things that I learned from the other people that are in a position to teach.
Yes.
That's what all this is about. I want to be a conduit. And that's very much what Tom has been. That's very much what Mo have been. And that's what we want to continue to be for you. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for your continued support.
And we're hoping, and maybe I'll post in our forums too. There's kind of a good list of websites. There's like Live Overflow and a few other YouTubers that walk you through excellent how to gain privilege, everything else. They have step-by-step instructions on how to do it. They have hack the box write-ups. So maybe I'll put together a little list of them and drop it in my forums. We have a How They Got Hacked, a hacking cybersecurity list, because there's somebody I watch them. There's Cybersecurity Weapon Labs. That guy does great videos if you haven't seen it. He takes one specific tool and walks you through all the steps of using it, step by step. It's really good. Matter of fact, one of the tools I'd shared with you, that was one I hadn't even heard of before. It's not in Kali, it's not in Parrot, but he went through a whole how to use it.
Which one?
One of the reconnaissance tools.
Okay.
But he does all the steps on how to configure them, how to load them on your computer, how to set them up. So there's a lot of great YouTubers out there. Because I can't do it all. I mean, I'd love to, but at some point I got to pay the bills and I got to do my job thing I do.
Yeah, it sucks having to do a job and not just do research all day. I work in a research and development lab, and they would like for me to do more development than research, but I always figure out a way to do more research than development. So
I love research.
hopefully in the next few episodes, actually,
We got to mention this.
we gotta mention this, don't
Yes.
we? We're gonna make a new channel, guys.
We're going to make a new channel.
Yep. It's gonna be How They Got Hacked. So we're gonna need your help with this. The people, you guys are our core. You are our squad, our tribe.
Yeah.
You know, gang. You know. So basically, I need you guys to help me and help us really
Yes, please
spread the
help us.
word, shout us out, let us know exactly what it is that you want to see.
Yep, and we're gonna set this up as a separate channel, so I'm gonna post this in there. We just created it, so I gotta wait till it's like live, whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be in the show notes. If you can click that and subscribe to it, because we have to have so many subscribers so we can do the live show again on the new channel. So what we're gonna do is post here. Then I'm gonna take all the videos. I'm gonna leave them. I don't know if I'll leave them up or not, but I'm gonna move them all to the other channel. YouTube doesn't have an actual move option, so I got to download them, re-upload them, so that we have some content on that channel. And then once we have enough subscribers, we'll start moving all the live versions. So like I'll download the live shows we did here, move them over, but eventually we're going to dedicate this to the How They Got Hacked. We'll set up a Patreon because it's kind of, this is a separate venture from Lawrence Systems. So it's us three, not a Lawrence System venture as much. So I'm just keeping it. We'll probably still film it here at the studio. But
and you know what? We're really appreciative of Lawrence Systems because they give us the set. They give us the expertise, the audience, the platform. So like this is never like, wanting to separate. No. This is more just like a branch, right?
Yep.
This is a feature request. We've had a multitude of people reach out to us and say, this needs its own channel. Yeah. I only come here for this. So we want to kind of acknowledge that. We want to separate this out and kind of allow this to be a part of our a part of our network.
Yeah. So I'll have that set up probably by tomorrow if I have a chance. But you'll get all that for now because you can't go live on a brand new channel. I think it takes 30 days before you can even go live on a channel. YouTube's changed the rules so much, and I've had my channel for a few years, so I'm not affected by them. But when I set up a new one, I have to obey all the new rules for things.
And if anybody at YouTube is watching, help us out with that because we're not.
You just want to bypass the rules for us because we're legit people. Yeah. We're legit hackers.
And Google's right down the street, so don't make me walk around with my AFA.
And as a special treat, as an appetite wetter, I have been working on a short animation comedy skit of us.
Oh, yes, we have.
We will be putting that on the channel.
Follow him on Twitter. He'll post some stuff on Twitter.
Yeah.
Follow us. What's your Twitter?
What's that?
What's your Twitter?
Tom Lawrence Tech. It's always in the show notes automatically.
Tom Lawrence Tech, Infinite.
Offsec Mo.
Yeah, I'll make sure all these are in the show notes so you can follow us and like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But we'll make sure, like I said, we want to dedicate the hacking content so we can kind of separate the difference between the hacking content and a lot of Lawrence System business. At some point, putting everything on one channel, it seems like a good deal in theory, but I don't want to clutter channels. I like to have things concise and easy for people to find. So whether it's my firewall tutorials you come to my channel for, some of the business tutorials, or then we just want to have a whole separate channel for all the hacking stuff on there.
Yeah,
so
it'll be great. It'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll have, we can give you more hacking content in various ways.
That's the goal. So that's about it. I think we're gonna jump off here. I'm gonna let Xavier.
I gotta go to sleep because I gotta be up tomorrow.
He's got to be up tomorrow. I mean, we could probably go forever, but he does have to be up early, so I don't want to keep him late.
So I'm about to click this button. You guys ready? This is my clicking finger. I just
so that one right there, that little bottom one.
And
Thanks, guys.
It's been awesome.